Hello, I'm Zim. This is my channel where I talk about things because I can, and today I'd like to examine the internet's reaction to the new A24 Backrooms movie directed by Kane Parsons. This video won't be a summary or in-depth analysis of the movie, I just want to talk about the very polarized opinions I've seen, as well as my beliefs about the movie's artistic merit outside of that. Quick disclaimer, any screenshots or posts used in this video will have usernames censored to avoid any potential harassment, and also I'm obviously expressing my own opinion here and it's perfectly okay to disagree. There is no objective right or wrong and I'm not trying to say there is. Lastly, this video won't be 100% spoiler-free, even though, like I said, I'm not going to summarize the movie, I will still be talking about characters and creatures and showing shots of them where I can, so if you'd like to avoid that, feel free to click off and maybe watch a different video of mine if you like. And with that being said, let's talk about the Backrooms. The Backrooms began as an internet creepypasta originally posted in a 4chan thread and based on this image on screen. The original photo shows part of an empty furniture store and is a good example of a liminal space, and the concept of the Backrooms is that they're a dimension just outside of reality that you can no-clip or fall into at random chance. A big part of the fear factor of the Backrooms is the idea of remaining trapped due to the endless sprawling maze of them, and all of the rooms being just slightly off. The rooms themselves visually aren't horrifying, but the wrongness, the entrapment, and the fear of the unknown and what could be in there is what makes it scary. This concept eventually spawned an online community in a similar vein to the SCP community, where users on the internet can create new entities and levels for the Backrooms, most of which can be found on the Backrooms wiki page. A lot of these levels are inspired by specific liminal space photos, like the pool rooms or the neighborhood for example, and this version of the Backrooms has no set lore. It's one big, free-written community project. The Backrooms movie, on the other hand, is specifically based on Kane Parsons' Backrooms series on YouTube. This series was made in Blender and primarily based on the original image rather than the levels or entities from the wiki page. Examples of his lore specifically include the entities in the series and movie, as well as the company researching the Backrooms, Async. He also presents the Backrooms as an idea of the projection of memory rather than just being a mutation or dimension outside of reality. I think it's quite important to remember that the movie is Kane's Backrooms and not the Wikipedia ones, because unfortunately that seems to be a big reason why people were so disappointed with this film. So, a lot of the complaints I've seen have revolved around the movie underutilizing the idea of levels in the Backrooms and saying it's visually uninteresting because of the lack of different settings and entities. A lot of Backrooms fans went in expecting the movie to derive more from the community creations and wiki rather than solely being based on Kane's YouTube series, either expecting him to expand on it himself or for it to be based on the more developed interpretation of the Backrooms from wiki. I do get being disappointed if you walked in with specific expectations, because level 0 is definitely among the most drab to look at. The thing is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the images and writing from the Backrooms wiki is very difficult to trace by ways of proper credit and origins. A lot of the images used didn't belong to the people adding them to the Backrooms lore, and when it comes to making a movie, I think it would be kind of irresponsible to just use visuals and ideas without appropriate credit or permission. Even though Kane's series is based on the original image, he made it primarily using CGI and created a lot of original concepts which the movie follows up on, therefore it avoids any issues with infringing on any other people's creative rights. There's also the fact that a lot of the original horror with the first image of the Backrooms was more about the repetitive maze-like location and being driven crazy by the buzz of fluorescence rather than the idea of entities. From a creative and community standpoint, the idea of endless levels is definitely really cool and fun, but from a horror movie perspective, I think the psychological implications of being stuck in such a monotonous area is more effective, both literally and part of the metaphor that the movie is trying to use. And admittedly, after looking at some of the levels from the Backrooms wiki, some of them are like really, really nice. Take me there. It's not exactly a horror movie setting. To be honest as well, the very monotonous set was a really great way to make the different areas stand out, like the Christmas tree room, or the laundry piles, or the brief appearance of the pool rooms, etc. It just completely throws you for a loop. For example, I felt my stomach absolutely drop when it showed the room that was just one big pit. It caught me so off guard. This bit might just be me complaining, but I think people are for some reason really hard to satisfy now. I saw a lot of criticisms about the entities not being scary, but I think the main thing to focus on was the environment itself being hostile. The fact the Backrooms even exist is supposed to be scary. The fact that they lure you into a false sense of security by being all the same and then having rooms that are completely different is supposed to be scary. If that doesn't scare you, then maybe this movie just isn't for you. It's not supposed to be a creature horror, it's a horror about the Backrooms themselves. The fear of the unknown is incredibly common, and I think this movie utilizes it well, but a common problem is that a lot of people went in, didn't understand the Backrooms themselves, and instead of thinking, wow, this is a horror beyond human comprehension or control, that's scary, thought, oh, this movie sucks, that didn't make any sense. A very common complaint I see is, it didn't make sense, but it's not supposed to, is the thing. Oh, but it's a movie, it has to make sense. And I'd argue it does. It's a perfectly clear psychological horror and metaphor for trauma responses, and the ending wraps up nicely for the characters while leaving room for continuation. I would delve into that more, but like I said, I really don't want this video to just be a plot summary. The point is, there are clear points made in the movie, and it makes sense if you just think a little bit. The information is all there, it just isn't spoon-fed to you, and it uses a lot of show, don't tell. You know where every character ended up, you know how they ended up there, the only thing that doesn't make sense is the Backrooms. I've seen people say, oh, I shouldn't have to watch the YouTube series to understand the movie, and the thing is, you don't, and even if you did, this series doesn't explain the Backrooms or how they work either, because you can't. In essence, this movie is a cosmic horror. It's not a creature horror or a slasher where you just watch characters get chased down and killed. And honestly, I find that really refreshing because when was the last time we got a solid sci-fi movie or cosmic horror movie that wasn't just a Lovecraft adaptation? I mean, I can answer that, it's Exit 8, but I digress. If you like a cut-and-dry plot, or scary monsters, or characters getting chased down and murdered, or found footage, there are many other movies that have done that, and I think being so heavily critical when a movie tries something different is so limiting to creativity. This is possibly the single most pretentious thing I could say, but the Backrooms kind of reminds me of how people react to abstract art sometimes. Art that takes reality and warps it into something new but not entirely unrecognizable, where a lot of people will say it's not real art because it's too simple or because they lack an understanding of maybe the image itself or what gives a piece value. It doesn't change the fact that it's art regardless of if you understand or individually like it. I get not enjoying a movie or show. I get hating a movie or show. What I don't understand is saying as if it's the whole truth that this thing sucks and is a waste of time. There are definitely instances where that applies, namely the type of stuff you find on Amazon Prime these days, but I think when a project evidently had time, effort, and care put into it, it really sucks to see people be so intensely hateful. In the present, when AI is on the rise, I find it kind of shocking that people would rather aim their vitriol to a 20-year-old's directorial debut than at corporations firing creatives left, right, and center in favor of AI-generated media that isn't only stolen but also actively bad for the world we live in. Generally speaking, human-made art should be appreciated now more than ever. I've seen people call this movie slop, which is just insane to me because slop implies it's generic, low effort, churned out fast when it wasn't. Factually, it wasn't. I mean, to each their own with regards to personal enjoyment or opinions, but I don't think it's fair to dismiss creativity or work behind it. They built an expansive set for this movie. Does that magically make the movie good? No. Does that mean you have to like it? No. Does it make it worthy of some level of appreciation? Yes, I think it does, because creatives deserve to have their effort noticed. If anything, putting so much work into the set is especially impressive in current times, given it could have easily been done with CGI and green screen like every other film at the moment. If you can't appreciate the story, appreciate the performances. Didn't like those? Try and see the merit in the set design. Hated that too? Maybe you're just determined to be miserable, I don't know what to tell you. For me, the story and characters didn't grasp me massively, but I was still disturbed by aspects of the movie, even though some scenes that might have been supposed to be scary fell kind of flat for me. Generally, there's room for improvement solely because nothing is ever perfect, but I'm not here to nitpick. From a purely creative standpoint, this movie is a real treat. I can't believe that Saltburn gets to be glazed because of pretty shots, but the Backrooms doesn't. Absolutely mad, to be honest. I don't know much about King Parsons, I haven't really engaged with his content before this movie, but I think it's really obvious that he's a very skilled person. If I remember correctly, he also made the music for the movie, and as a bonus, he is vocally against AI. While I don't necessarily think the movie itself was an anti-AI commentary, I think there are some interesting parallels being drawn, and the fact that the movie speaks to people in different ways so coherently is testament to its value. One of the best ways that art can exist is to be interpreted. An aspect I quite like in the movie is the entities being called still lifes and looking the way they do. It was one of my favourite visual choices. As much as the bacteria entity from the YouTube series would have made more sense from a science fiction angle, the still lifes have really cool implications for how the rooms create, and they look brilliant. I love how they're visually more interesting and intriguing than they are outright monstrous or horrifying, especially with regards to their behaviour. Like I said earlier, the fear comes from the twisted sense of familiarity, the realization that it's wrong. I also think still life is just a cool name. It's very clearly a reference to still life artwork, and that ties into the themes of the movie really well. Cycles, routine, entrapment. A still life is exactly that. A moment captured forever, like what the Backrooms does by remembering places and people. Or, alternatively, they can be compared to botched early AI images, the idea of stealing something that already exists and malforming it into something that isn't new but isn't right either. Again, not my personal interpretation, but for people my age growing up in an era where AI is being shoved in our faces literally all the time, it's very easy to draw those comparisons, and that adds to the horror for many reasons. I've said this before in a previous video, but there's a big difference between hate and constructive criticism, and sometimes you can accept that just because you didn't enjoy it doesn't mean it's bad, and enjoying something also doesn't make it good. It just means you experienced it. Congratulations. I'm very picky about the media I consume, and there's a lot of stuff I don't like, but I would never dedicate big chunks of my time to just shitting on it because it's not my cup of tea. Obviously, you could say this is overall a non-issue, the movie is doing very well monetarily. I just think it's important to remember that it has artistic value no matter what you thought of the viewing experience itself. Honestly, I'm looking forward to the next Backrooms movie because I'm sure it will improve and build on any constructive criticism from the first one, and Kane will have had more experience and feedback by then. But you can only see improvement if you encourage creators to keep creating instead of shutting them down or dismissing their work entirely. For criticism to be constructive, it needs to encourage improvement, not share the sentiment that you should just give up because this sucks. And if anything, I'm just really glad that the movie is still doing well despite all of the don't waste your money posts floating around. I thought it was pretty good. It's not one of my favourites of all time or anything, but I'm very glad it exists, and I'm glad that somebody around my age got a chance to do something so cool. If you hated it, that's fine, power to you, that has no effect on me whatsoever. I just hope this video can maybe help you appreciate aspects of the movie that deserve credit where it's due. Sorry that this video was so full of complaining. It feels like everything gets such black and white treatment these days. Everyone is so vocal about their opinions now seemingly, except for in situations where it really does matter, and frankly it's kind of frustrating. I probably wouldn't have made this if I wasn't frustrated. Please don't kill me if you didn't like this video, because that would kind of defeat the whole point I'm making. We can have a nicely worded argument in the comments instead if you like. Because contrary to the impression you might get from these one-sided yap sessions, I do really enjoy hearing different thoughts and opinions just when they're expressed with self-awareness that it is indeed an opinion. Free speech is all well and good, but people can also freely respond. Okay, that's more or less it. Thanks, bye, love you, I just lost the game.